What's going on, guys? It's your boy Ray, and today I'm going to talk a little bit about JPEG versus RAW. What is it, what's the difference, and how to understand when to use either or. I have a few examples I'm going to pull up on my screen to show you each situation, and I'm going to tell you a crazy story of what happened to me and how one of those saved my butt. So let's hop into Lightroom. Right here I have both files. One's a JPEG and the other is a RAW, and I'm going to show you side by side what the difference is. Now right off the bat, you can see in the RAW file it's a little bit more darker. RAW files tend to be a lot more flat and darker. Those are things that you could adjust in post. Now I'm going to raise the stop or the exposure by 5 stops. So let's do that, and I'm going to do the exact same thing with the RAW file. 5 stops. Okay, now let's see them side by side. Okay, that's the JPEG. You can see that the skin is a lot more red. It doesn't look really natural. And then with the RAW file, it looks a lot more natural to it. And the JPEG, let's zoom on in. You see, it doesn't look as clean. It looks a little bit red. I'm gonna explain why though. I made this illustration for you guys to give you a little bit of understanding of what is going on. Right here, it's 1 pixel, and a JPEG file, the entire file picture, is usually about 2 to 3 megabytes, and a RAW file is anywhere between 20 to 30 megabytes depending on your settings of the camera. Mine is typically around 25 megabytes. So this is an example of a pixel, and to show you the difference is you see on the left hand side the JPEG pixels aren't as smooth as the RAW files. Now the reason why is because the RAW files contain more data. It's like a cup of glass. You have one that's halfway full or half empty for those that want to argue, and then you have one that's entirely full. One's going to be obviously more heavier and contain more water, more mass, versus the one that's half empty or half full. That's exactly what's going on here. We have 2 pixels, one that doesn't have as much data, which is the JPEG, and one with whole entire data stuffed into a pixel, which is the RAW file. Now let's go back into Lightroom, and I'm going to show you in the shadows of what I mean by that. If your camera doesn't really pick up of what's going on in the shadows, it'll start to become noise and distorted. Now here is a good example of what I mean by that. You can see in his hair that in the shadows it looks really bad, very noisy. The color is not even right. It's because it doesn't know the color, because it's shot in JPEG. It's not retaining that data. You're not telling the camera, let's save that data in the shadows. Because of that, it doesn't know, it doesn't pay attention to the shadows. Now let's switch over to the RAW file and zoom on into his hair. Look at that. You can see the color. You don't see any distortion or noise. You don't see none of that because it's retaining that data, because you're telling it to retain that data. Now, JPEG isn't always a bad thing to shoot. I shoot JPEG still to this day. I do a lot of my GIFs in JPEG because it shoots a lot faster out of my camera. And here's another example. This is my lovely wife. This is the JPEG and this is the RAW. I shot this properly exposed, and it's a great picture. I mean, I don't have to bring any shadows back. I can do a quick edit on this and it'll be perfectly fine. Same goes as the RAW file. I mean, have all that data there if I want to mess with it, but I could have easily gotten away with just shooting just that picture, only JPEG. I'm gonna tell you a little bit of story. I was invited to a event for an artist to take pictures of an artist. Upon arrival, I couldn't get a hold of the artist. It was just going all bad. On top of that, I left my flash at home and I was having other issues. So I stuck around regardless, and I told myself I'm just gonna shoot the best I can. It was pitch dark in this event. It was in a club. I set my settings to RAW plus JPEG. This is a great example of this. So this is the picture I'm telling you about. This is the JPEG. Now I'm gonna raise this up 5 stops. And here, let's look into his shadows. Look at that shadows. Look at the noise. I mean, there's no data there. It doesn't know what it's reading. It doesn't know what it's looking at. I mean, the picture was shot in pure darkness, but you could tell how bad this picture is. I mean, I would not edit this picture at all. I would just toss it in the trash. The exact same picture I'm going to show you in RAW format. And let's bring it up 5 stops. Now look at the picture. Look at that. You can see the data. Look at his eyes. You can see the eyes. You can see his hat. There is noise, but that noise can be corrected by noise reduction. That looks like a good picture, and I'll post the edited picture here on the screen so you guys take a look at it. But this is what I mean by it saved my butt. I hope you guys understand the biggest difference. Now, I don't recommend everyone to shoot RAW. There's times and place when to shoot JPEG and when to shoot RAW. So I really appreciate you guys sticking to the end. If this was helpful for you, give it a like, subscribe, and comment if you have any more questions or if you want me to do more tutorials about a certain subject. Also follow me on Instagram. Thank you guys very much and have a great day.